So we've been through pretty much Chelsea's lineup. Obviously, I think we don't need to talk about Mendy's going to be in goal, and we agree Rudiger and Thiago Silva will play regardless. We've covered whether it's Christensen or Reece James or Azpilicueta as a third centre half and the knock-on effect of the wing back. Let's talk City, and please stop me because I think some positions are pretty obvious. We know Ederson's going to be in goal. Yeah. We know Kyle Walker's going to be your right back. We know... Well, actually, let me take a step back first because we've seen Pep in huge games go and do something weird that he hasn't done before. We've seen this many times in the past, but we don't expect to see it here. Am I right? Am I reading you guys correctly?
I think so.
No?
Come on. I think he's learned a lot from the mistakes against Lyon last season and being scared of Toko Ekambi and all that kind of stuff.
So this is not the game, Robbo, to go and try to shock and surprise Tuchel with something weird, right?
No. The only thing that he will do, and he's done it in games, and he starts with a back four, but really it ends up being a back three. I think Walker will tuck in, and I actually think Cancelo will play at left back, and he will almost play as a left wing back at times when they've got possession. And whoever plays on the wide side, whether it be Sterling or Foden, will come in field to go and join the whatever the false number 9 will be. So I think that's the only sort of surprise that you'll see when the game starts is that Walker will tuck in and be a right-sided centre half at times, and the left back, whether it be Zinchenko, whether it be Mendy, whether it be I think it'd be Cancelo, will play much higher up the field when they get possession, and the wide player will then tuck in and get closer to the front player.
It was going to be my question, right? So we know, obviously, the back four, Stones and Ruben Diaz. Left back was the only question position. Robbo's going with Jean Cancelo. I think as much as we love Mendy, I don't think he's starting.
No.
Zinchenko may have a shot.
I think he has a bigger shot than Cancelo.
Than Jean Cancelo.
Definitely. And it would be harsh on him. He's been so good against PSG, for example, in that second leg. I think he probably offers more security slightly defensively than Cancelo. I know Cancelo has been so good in that sort of hybrid position, but I think I could see Zinchenko starting ahead of Cancelo.
Now, I would have taken as read for much of this season that Rodri was going to be an automatic choice in a big game. I'm not so sure because obviously we've seen him drop for Fernandinho before. Do you think that... I mean, there's always the option of going Rodri and Fernandinho and pushing on Gundogan, but does anybody think there's a position of Rodri being left out? Would you leave him out in a game like this?
I don't think so. I know, of course, against PSG, that second leg, but you had the lead to defend. Yeah. It was Fernandinho's birthday, which was one of the justifications why Pep started him in that game, saying, hey, he's 36 today. This is his birthday present. I just think Rodri has been so important, so good, that he will start that game. And I don't think he will start with Fernandinho. I think he would be on his own in front of that back four, back three, and then having Gundogan next to him. And then, as we say, the front four ahead.
Rodri, Gundogan makes sense to you, Robbo?
Absolutely. That's what I was saying earlier. Yeah, I think Gundogan will be alongside Rodri, but he'll play further forward. He'll be able to make forward runs and he'll swap positions with De Bruyne at times. And I think Mahrez will be on the right-hand side because he's been such a key player for them. He gives them that width. They didn't do it in the semi-final because they had Ferran Torres out there and he didn't go past his man. He couldn't make anything happen. Mahrez is going to be a key player, but Gundogan next to Rodri, I think that's certain for me.
All right, so then we're assuming Mahrez, Foden, De Bruyne, and Bernardo Silva is your front four, right? Does anybody want to make a case for anybody else?
Not really.
No.
Sterling's not playing well enough at the moment.
No.
All right. So help me just to wrap this. Help me try to kind of imagine how this unfolds, because we talked a little bit how you defend against that, because obviously if they keep going back, then and they're not acting as genuine strikers, especially the two central guys. There's a lot of fluidity. You have to be aware of that. One way to deal with it is to effectively go man for man, and Thiago Silva sweeping in certain areas.
Yeah.
They've dealt with it fairly comfortably, I think, before when they've done that. Off the ball, if you're City, when you're not in possession, Robbo, how is that front four going to work? Are they going to come and press them high? Are they going to press them perhaps a little bit more in midfield so they've got more space to run into with the likes of Foden and Mahrez?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I don't think with that formation they can press too high up the field, or certainly from the goalkeeper's kick. They'll wait for the centre-halves to have the ball, and then they'll do what good teams do. They'll force it into an area, and that's when they'll try and win the ball back. They might force it into wide areas and lock Chelsea down one side of the field, win it back, and then counter-attack from there. but I don't think they're going to press really high up the field right from the start of the game. They'll try and win the ball back sort of midway through Chelsea's half, I would think.
The one thing I'm just wondering about this, and I'm on board with what you guys are saying, and this is the only thing that leaves me to a little bit of doubt that Pep might do something different. That front four are incredibly skillful. Apart from Foden, I might argue that they're not super dynamic or athletic relative to the people who are on the bench, i.e. Sterling and Gabriel Jesus.
In terms of pace and running.
In terms of pace, in terms of quickness, change of direction. I mean, De Bruyne is obviously phenomenal, but, he's pushing 30 now and whatever. And none of these people are people you would look at him and say, whoa, he's a terrifying athlete. Not Mahrez, not Bernardo Silva, certainly. Foden maybe is the only one. And given that you're up against players who are a little bit older in Rudiger and Thiago Silva, might that be a temptation? Might that be enough to swing it? Or is that maybe a decision you make while the game is going on? Maybe that's when I turn to a Sterling, a Jesus, a Ferran Torres.
Yeah, it's a good point. Although I think by not playing either Foden, Mahrez or Bernardo, because De Bruyne will start 100%, I think you also lose in your pressing. I don't think Gabriel Jesus or Raheem Sterling can press as well as Bernardo, who is so intelligent and has that. He understands it very, very easily. So it depends. If you want to go a bit cautious and try to use that space in behind that back three at Chelsea, then you can play Gabriel Jesus and he will certainly cause you problem. We saw it again at the Etihad, in that game at the Etihad, where he forced Christensen to that mistake on the first goal just before the break and then got the penalty that Aguero missed with Panenka. And certainly those runs just hurt Chelsea too. So it's another possibility. I just think that you start a game like this and you want to keep the ball as much as you can, and for that you play your front four that you've played against PSG in that first leg, for example, where your press was not enough aggressive, but certainly when you had the ball, you make good use of it.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.